required at local schools. Christian Garzone is live from Greece now with more on this. Christian?
Maureen, Kathleen Groutman, the superintendent for schools of Monroe County, says all this testing will begin next week at most schools across Monroe County. They say most testing materials are in, but the biggest hurdle here will be getting permission from parents to go forward. 20% of students, staff, and teachers at schools across Monroe County need to be tested weekly while the region remains in the yellow zone, an indication of a COVID spike.
I feel like we can put a process in place, and I do feel like we can do it from a mechanical perspective. My worry in all of it is just the idea of getting enough people to consent.
Kathleen Groutman, the superintendent of schools, says informing the parents on how this process will work and getting the permission from parents is key in all of this.
So we're not going to be pulling kids in and testing them without parental consent. So that's going to be a piece of the process.
How this will all work is something Groutman says they're still working on and will likely vary by school.
Some schools might choose to do it in more of an alphabetical way. Some schools might be doing it by class.
Groutman says the test itself is not that deep nasal test many find so uncomfortable.
It's shallow, so it does use a Q-tip, and it just has goes into the first part of the nostril.
This week, Dr. Michael Mendoza, the public health commissioner, said schools are not the main source of spreading COVID, and it's more of a community cluster.
These kids have been through enough.
Tricia has a junior and a senior in schools and says the current precautions are already plenty, and this COVID testing to her only sounds like a waste of resources.
They're not the ones spreading this, and now we're coming after them. I don't get it. And
Groutman says parents can say no to this, and that does not mean their student has to stay home and go on remote learning. But
it could force us into having to go to a remote setting because we can't comply with that requirement.
Now, Groutman says the state outlined it has to be a fresh 20% of students and faculty getting tested. If too many people keep saying no, Groutman says that could prove to be a big problem going forward. In Greece, Christian